All right, what's up, people? I'm here to discuss Bradley Beal getting traded to the Suns. Happened about 24 hours ago, so I've had about a day to kind of process it and formulate my thoughts. And I'm just going to get straight to it and say I strongly dislike the trade. If I were to give it a grade on a letter scale, I'd give it a D+ for the Suns. This is just, for me, as you know, from my perspective, I just absolutely can't stand it. And, I would say this is the biggest thing, reason why this trade happened is new owner syndrome, as Bill Simmons calls it, from Matt Ishbia. He just got the team. He made the huge Durant trade, which now is looking, that is a hefty package which we gave up. I'm still glad we did it. I would have done that over, 10 times over. It's Kevin Durant. And then, we had a decent run in the playoffs, but now is this time to say, hey, I got a new team. Let's spend some money. And he did that. He acquired Bradley Beal, one of, in my opinion, definitely one of the 10 worst contracts in the NBA, and it's only going to get worse. Within a year or two, I believe it could be one of the 5 worst contracts in the NBA. And I think now with Ayton and Beal, we have 2 of the 10 worst contracts in the NBA, and this team is just, man, I have so many thoughts. I don't even really know where to start. So let's just start with the trade itself. We acquire Bradley Beal, and I believe, 2 other players, one guy who I'm not remembering the name of, who's just not good. And then Isaiah Todd, who was the 31st overall pick last year, the year before, and we are giving in exchange Chris Paul, Landry Shamet, and some second-round picks. Now, if you played 2K and you went and turned off the salary cap, then this is a great trade, because I wasn't a fan of having Chris Paul on the team. I wanted him gone. I'm certainly not a fan of Landry Shamet, even though he had a moment, I think, in game 3 or 4 this year, but largely not a fan of him at all. And we got a player who's, even if you're not high on Beal, objectively better than the 2 right now. Okay, I can do that. But unfortunately, the salary cap is on. We have turned on contracts in our, video game. We're not playing a video game here. Bradley Beal is one of the worst contracts in the NBA. It's hitting right now. It was an extension that happened last offseason, I believe. But it's 5 years, $251 million for Bradley Beal. Oh my goodness, this makes me sick. So he's going to be making almost $47 million next year. And then the years after, 50, 53, and then in 2026, before the 26-27 season, he has a $57 million player option, which I feel pretty safe saying he's going to pick that up. So let's just talk about Bradley Beal. The first reason why I don't like this trade is because I think I've made it clear I think Bradley Beal is overpaid, certainly. And I think he's overpaid mainly because he's an overrated player. I don't think Bradley Beal is that good. I think he's a solid shooting guard on a bad team, and that doesn't play basketball. In the past 4 seasons, he's averaged about 50 games a year. And the past 2 seasons, he's averaged 45 games. 45 games, his schedule is 82. He, blew up a lot in 2019-20 and 2020-21. Weird seasons, no doubt about it. It's the COVID bubble year, and then the year after, where he averaged 30.5 and 31.3 for a horrendous basketball team in the Washington Wizards. As far as career accomplishments, he's a 3-time All-Star. He was All-NBA in 2020-2021 season, and he was All-Rookie. He was the 3rd overall pick in 2000. He's 29 years old. He's going to be 30 later this month. I'm just like, what are people seeing here that I don't see? He's not a tremendous offensive creator, as far as for other players. He can create his own shot. Now, not most efficient. He's a good creator, shot creator. Average, I would categorize him as below average defensively. Not a great rebounder. He doesn't do anything great other than scoring. And even in that, I'm not fully there calling him a great scorer yet. Let's just look at 3-point percentage, for example. Last season, he shot 36.5% from 3. Okay, that's nothing. He shot 30% from 3 in 2021. And then, over the last 4 years, his shooting percentage, for his career, is 37% from 3. He was shooting much better from 3 earlier in his career. But, the past 4 seasons, what is it? Let me see if I can just get it real quick. His 3-point percentage, 34.5% over the last 4 years, where he's played 50 games a year. It doesn't make sense to me. I don't see what people are seeing with this guy. He's like I said, I don't want to come out here and say he's trash. He's obviously a good player, good scorer, and I think he's a lot better than Chris Paul and Landry Shamet. But he's not some all-NBA player. He made it once when he scored 30 points, had the ball in his hand the entire game. And what's crazy is he played 60 games. He wouldn't even make it now with the 65-game minimum. So I'm completely not impressed with Beal as a player, and I never have been. He's never done anything of significance either. He's been on bad teams his whole career. So that's another thing. We don't even know what this guy's like in the playoffs or what he's like on a good team. But then to add on top of it, the thing that pushes me over the edge, and I'm ranting here, so, just be prepared. I don't really have a flow of what I'm going to be speaking, but the thing that pushed me over the edge with why I dislike this trade so much, and I dislike Beal as a player in this trade, is the fit. It doesn't make sense to me. Now, I know people are already saying, man, Booker did great at the point guard in 17 games last year while Chris Paul was out. And, man, he's going to run the point. And Beal's going to be 2, and Durant's going to be 3. And if Booker was so great as a point guard for his whole career, then he would be a point guard. Devin Booker is clearly a 2 guard. I've watched this guy his entire career. He is a shooting guard. And in my opinion, he's the best shooting guard in the league. So now we're going to bring in another shooting guard that can't shot create for others, isn't spectacular anywhere else in basketball. And now, not saying he's terrible everywhere else, but not a spectacular defender, and he's just now Booker has to play the 1, which is going to take a toll on him, bringing the ball up, getting the team into the offense. It's going to take a toll, especially if he plans on playing 70 to 80 games. I don't think he finishes the season. If Booker starts the season as point guard, I said this yesterday and I stand by it. If he starts the season at point guard, he's not going to finish the season at point guard, whether that means he's hurt or somebody went somewhere or KD's playing the 4. And on a playoff team, when we're playing the Nuggets in the second round again, KD, who's going to be 34, who may not even be playing because, he can't even stay healthy. I don't even want to get into KD. KD at the 4, an interior defender, oh my, we're toast. So in my opinion, the Nuggets are laughing at this trade. The fit doesn't even make sense. The Suns needed a point guard. Really, that's what we needed. We needed a point guard and depth. Depth, that certain guys that were 3-and-D guys that were actually reliable 3-point shooters from beyond the arc. And then we needed a shot creator kind of guy. We needed a Bruce Brown off the bench that we could rely on to score 10 to 12 points a night, every night, and explode for 20 some games. We didn't have that. But we really needed a point guard on offense and depth. And we achieved none of that. All we did was add a fringe all-star that isn't great at anything except for scoring, where he's not that great because he can't shoot threes at a high percentage. It's crazy. And so I'm kind of shocked when people are so happy with the trade. Now, look, I'm glad we got rid of Paul and Shamet, like I said. What I wanted the Suns to do was to waive Chris Paul and stretch that cap hit over 5 years. So we're only losing $3 million against the cap this year, and that frees up $27 million in cap space. And then I also wanted the Suns to trade DeAndre Ayton, which I think they still might do. But trade Ayton to shed a little bit of cap, but also bring back something, and I'm not even sure that something's going to be much. But instead, what we did is we go out and get a 29-year-old, about to be 30-year-old star who's supposed to be in his prime but doesn't even play basketball and has done nothing in his career. And on top of that is one of the 10 worst contracts in the NBA, and it's only going to get worse. Now, when you combine the contracts of Beal, Booker, Durant, and Ayton, it's $162 million, I believe. Yeah, I don't want to completely misquote that, but it's over 160. This would be bad in the former CBA. And this is one of the main, I would say this is one of the main sticking points to me. This would be bad in the former CBA. With the new CBA, this is just plain stupid. This completely limits a team that had no depth in the first place, had no flexibility with picks because we traded all of them for a guy that slipped on a puddle and was out for basically the entirety of when he was here and then showed up for the playoffs. And I don't want to sound like I'm ragging on KD too much because I really am a huge KD fan, but I think we're going to start finding out soon that he's old. And he's going to start getting old quick, I think. I think when he plays, he's still going to be effective, but man, he's not reliable. He's shown the past few years that he can't be reliable, or relied on to be healthy. And I think the same can be said for Bradley Beal. So we gave up all of our picks. So we don't have picks, flexibility picks-wise after the Durant trade. We have absolutely no money. And with, acquiring Beal now with Ayton still on the books, assuming he doesn't get traded, even if he does get traded, we're not going to be able, no team's going to take on all the cap and just free up 30 million for us like that, or 40 million, whatever Ayton is. And now with the CBA, we're going to be past the second apron if we plan on having anybody other than the 4 guys I just named. We're going to be past the second apron, and all of a sudden, then our roster building, flexibility is absolutely murdered. And so I think Ishbia is just like, oh, look, I can buy all these shiny new toys, but he's not thinking. And so not only, it would be different, I think, if we acquired a Damian Lillard. And then we could say, hey, look, this is going to be a bad contract in a couple of years, and we're going to be severely limited. But at least we have Damian Lillard, who fits. He's a point guard. He's shown he can do it in the playoffs. Yeah, he's bad defensively, but this dude can score the rock. He's going to be able to facilitate to Booker and Durant. Man, we have a super team that makes sense basketball-wise. Okay, we could beat the Nuggets. Instead, even if we're locked into this team for the next 3 or 4 years, and it could get ugly at the end, we can win this year or next. Okay, I can deal with that. But it doesn't even make sense. This team currently has constructed, like I said, the Nuggets are laughing. I think this team loses in 5 to the Nuggets. Even if they miss out, even if they don't bring back a KCP or Bruce Brown, I think this team gets murdered. We're not strong anywhere defensively. Like I said, Durant's going to have to be arguably, especially if we get rid of Ayton, the strongest interior defender. I mean, against the Nuggets team, that's a nightmare. So, I think there's going to be multiple teams that we would struggle with. If the Grizzlies get Ja Morant back and they start playing like they were at the beginning of the year, I don't know if we beat the Grizzlies with this team. I don't want to go through team by team, but I just don't see, with Booker, Durant, and Beal, and Ayton, throw Ayton in there, fine. Those 4, that team doesn't scare me if I'm an actually correctly constructed team that has balance, depth, that has a point guard, that has a center that dunks the ball when he's wide open for dunks. I don't want to get into a whole rant about the Suns. I hope I've made it clear that I don't like the trade. I don't like the trade because I just don't think Beal is that good. But even if he was great, or a little bit better than I'm thinking, or even if he's as good as people perceive him to be, I think the contract makes him that much worse. Not only do I think the contract makes him worse, I think his fit on the team makes him even worse. And then the fact that there's a new CBA coming with the second apron that's going to absolutely murder us and basically tell us, hey, you're stuck with this team for the next 4 seasons or however long this collection of guys are here. Certainly Beal through 27. You're stuck with Beal, Booker, and then Durant will be off the books after 26, I believe. But this Beal-Booker thing, you're stuck with it. And you're not going to have much flexibility otherwise. Man, that's a scary situation to be in. And then the last thing is when you can't put this team on paper and say, hey, they're going to beat the Nuggets or a multitude of other teams, then you have to ask the question, what are you doing? And I think we're going to be asking the question that year. So I've been completely ranting for 13 minutes, but that's my opinion. I'd love to hear what you guys think. I have some friends that are excited about the trade, and I'm honestly baffled. I'm looking at it from a little bit more of a wide, scope. I'm looking a couple years down the line and thinking, oh man, this is going to get really ugly. But I think it's going to get, but not only that, I think it's going to get ugly, this year, because I just don't see this team winning. I certainly don't see it getting out of the West against a healthy Nuggets team. Please let me know what you think. Look, the Suns could be in a lot worse situation. We could be the Wizards. But that being said, we had something good going here, and it doesn't feel right to me. Let me know what you think.